You stumbled into some kind of show. It's a movie reaction show called Binge-Watchers Podcast. It's got me. They like to call me Johnny Spoiler. I tend to spoil some movies on the show. It's all for fun. Let it go. Joined as always by Jordan Savage, who's so
That's right.
savage she can guess how a movie's going to end or make a reaction prediction. She's got psychic movie powers. Just deal with it, roll with it, and enjoy the show.
Exactly.
That was a
Savage
great intro,
Sam.
Jordan. I did not stumble or stagger. I did not say the usual intro. I introduced new words, and I didn't trip out on it.
That was
That was
impressive. I'm
that
proud.
was done good. But then I immediately reviewed my intro, which people probably don't like that one. All I can tell you, folks, is if you got it, smoke it. If you got it, drink it. If you got it, eat it. I don't know do people snack while they listen to podcasts? It's possible. It's possible they're eating a Hot Pocket.
That sounds
Or
so
their
good.
movie snack of choice. It's not always popcorn, folks, although I do love a kettle corn.
Mm.
I actually like kettle corn trivia over butter. Or over that movie butter. I'll go for the sweet corn.
What? No,
Yeah.
movie theater popcorn, 100%. I need my jalapenos on the side, please.
Well, that's an elevated step right there.
So good.
Anyway, so whatever you got, whatever you're drinking, smoking, or eating, crack it open. Here we go.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
Okay, welcome to Home Video Headlines. There was a toy company that just launched life-size Megan doll replicas
I think
from
that's
the
so
Megan
cool.
movie. It's kind of cool. It's like owning a Chucky, from the Child's Play movies. But I've seen some people on Instagram do some precarious things with their Chucky dolls.
Oh, no.
Like they're a little too into their Chucky dolls. Here's my concern for life-size Megan dolls. The ones that buy them are gonna fuck them. They're gonna have sex with the Megan doll, and you're like, "Oh, John, it's not possible. There's not even any atomically correct holes." They're gonna go to Home Depot. They're gonna buy a $20 freaking drill, and they're gonna make them holes, folks. Or they're gonna make them with friction when they order their life-size Megan replica doll. I mean, it's like
I think it's the natural progression if you're gonna make a life size like anything. But I don't know. I just want there to be some innocence in this world. And I think of like the 3-foot Barbies that we used to have. But then again, I was a child when that happened. And now I'm like, yeah.
Well, let's just be super honest. Like, if you're playing with Barbies and G.I. Joes, the whole thing was they hooked up with each other.
Oh,
The
yeah.
dolls,
You definitely made
there was
them
so
marry.
much hooking up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And make out,
Yeah.
So
Everything.
You're so right. Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. I thought I was a comedian when I was like a teenager. I made a stop motion animation with Star Wars figures. And I knew that like nobody had seen it. And this was at like a family dinner. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna debut this at a family dinner. I'm gonna screw with everybody in attendance because they don't. And I had a shocking sex scene with the action figures.
So funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
Did it go over well?
It went over as predicted.
As predicted. So funny.
Yeah. We'll find out if cousin Steve really is comfortable with homosexuals or not. Because I think I had Luke Skywalker having sex with, was it Han Solo? I don't know.
I love it.
And a Wookiee a Wookiee may have been coming there too. It was a key party with Star Wars figures. What do you want?
There you go. Yeah.
Anyway. And again, and I guess I'm just inspired by comedians that don't ever drop the bit. So I guess that was I don't know. Anyway, made jokes with video cameras, back in the day. Anyway, here we go. James or is his name Mangold? He did the Walk the Line, the It's a pretty good, actually. The Johnny Cash movie. I don't know if you ever saw that with Reese Witherspoon and Joaquin Phoenix playing Johnny Cash. Pretty good movie. And then I think he did Logan. James Mangold's style is kind of like very gritty, very intense generally. So I think like he's supposed to do this Jedi Origins movie, which is still on the production slate, which is kind of cool. Because we're gonna go back when people are just like, "Oh, there's a magical force and I can move things," or you know what I mean, or like, "I'm so bad, I'm burning the universe." You know what I mean? Like the first dudes and dudettes or whatever, or aliens to come across these abilities. That should be a good adventure anyway. It would be interesting to see if they went back to like the space opera tone of the cheesy goodness of like the very original Star Wars stuff. That like it was like the way they did that. That'd be cool. Matrix 5. Whew. I don't think we need any more Matrix movies, like at all. Like, unless they're gonna do like a Matrix on top of a Matrix on top of a Matrix on top of the last Matrix, and they literally declare like, "Hey, by the way," like it would be really great if they did a Matrix movie about making the Matrix movie. Do you know what I mean? Like if they just kept pulling the layers back, and then our reality in their movie world was in fact just another Matrix, right? Because I think in the new one they do have like a Matrix within a Matrix like happening, but it's like, how far can you pull it back? I don't know, but we don't need another one, dude. we don't. I think they've cashed I think they've run that franchise into the ground, or they just, if the franchise was a lemon, they squeezed all the juice out of it.
All the juice. Yeah, there's no more juice left to squeeze.
Or water out of the sponge. Plug in any metaphor, folks. Whatever your favorite metaphor. Yeah, exactly. Insert metaphor here on why they can't get anything out of this franchise. However, Drew Goddard, great writer. He wrote on Buffy, wrote on Angel. That's where he got his chops, I think. And then he did The Cabin in the Woods, was something he wrote and directed. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Spoiler alert for Cabin in the Woods, if you haven't seen it. It's like there's an extra dimensional god that we have to make sacrifices for, or he's going to eat the whole world. And so they have like every monster from every movie imaginable, right? That they just unleashed on the sacrifice ones or whatever.
I had seen it in theaters, and I think I just like wasn't into this like more.
Deus Machina. Like, yeah, once you take it to another level, it doesn't always jive, right?
Well, and I think I need to watch it like now, and I think I'd probably like it more than I had done the first time in theaters. Yeah. But I was like, what the heck did I just see? Like, what did I just watch?
It's a lot to chew on there at the end. We have to. Like, because they like go through the fourth wall, right? So they go to like everything you've seen, there's like another layer. Yeah, it definitely takes you out of like what's happening. Although I will say the zombie hillbillies like are kind of cool.
I don't really remember anything from the movie, but I remember the feeling that I had at the end of being like, what?
So for half the movie, they're trapped in a cabin with monsters and they don't know why. And then they find out there's like a electronic shielding around like a 3-mile radius with the cabin, and they can't actually leave this rental, this Verbo, you know what I mean? Like, and then like, they make a joke out of the hero. They kill the hero off. He's like, I'm going to go get help. And he like, it's like a firefly inside of one of those bug killing lamps. He's dead, because he flies into the force field or whatever on accident. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's something you have to watch again. But you're right though. You do feel cheated. I remember at first going like, that's a hard pill to swallow. It really is. But it is cool to see like the nerd or the supporting character also help the final girl. Because I was at that time, no one was really doing stories like that. So that was cool.
For sure.
What else is he known for? Oh, he wrote The Martian, the screenplay anyway, because it's based on a novel. He actually did a pretty good job because the book of The Martian is a hard read. There's a lot of science in there, not a lot of there's science and some comic relief, a little bit of drama, but it reads more like a textbook. So to turn that into a pretty compelling movie. Have you seen The Martian with
I loved it.
Matt Damon? Yeah, it's a cool movie. And I guess he wrote that. So he wrote that for Ridley Scott. So that's pretty good. So I mean, here's the thing. They do have a talented writer and director attached to a science fiction project who's done well in that genre. But I mean, it's just another Matrix movie, man. Like what? Like who's like the main characters? Like, is it the pets now? You know what I mean? Is this the Matrix movie where it's like Neo's dog or cat and like or Trinity's cat? Because it has to be a side quest, right? I mean, it has to be some other characters. It can't be the god figures of the two super powered Neo and Trinity characters that are in the Matrix anyway. Plus, everything's watered down except if you go back to the first one, which is like it's kind of like Blade Runner. It's like dark, it's mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a whodunit. Anyway, where are we at? I think that brings us to tonight's movie, the movie of the week. Holy moly. Or Odin! Odin! Odin's not taking your collect calls. You all fools are dead. Valhalla Rising. Forced for a time to be a fighting slave, or in Viking speak, a thrall, this pagan warrior escapes his captors with a boy and joins a group of crusaders on their quest to the Holy Land. This movie takes place at an interesting time because this is like where Vikings were converting into Christendom and they were having internal civil war like conflicts with their own tribes.
Right.
Like, hey, no, we worship the old gods, get out of here. No, we worship this figure. This is what we're doing, and we're converting all these kingdoms as we pillage and burn everything else. There's no way to know if this is how things actually went down, but this seems to be like a pretty both bleak and realistic like imagining of like that freaking world. Like,
right.
And it's got Mads Mikkelsen, who I freaking love. I mean, I can just tell you right off the top, right off. Another Round, Polar,
so
and this movie, Valhalla Rising, are my three favorite Mads Mikkelsen movies. I'm sure a lot of people know him from Hannibal, the TV show, as Hannibal Lecter. I'm sure a lot of people might know him from the villain in one of the recent Bond movies, like the first one with Daniel Craig. I think it's called Quantum of Solace. He's at the casino, and during the game, he's like the bad guy, whatever. And then, Casino Royale. Is that the name of the movie? Yeah.
I think
Casino
that is
Royale.
it.
Yeah, Casino Royale.
Yeah.
And what else? Oh, we actually reviewed Clash of the Titans 2010 recently, and he's in that freaking movie as the guy that says, "Remember that Min did this." You know, the soldier who's like,
Is he in Inception?
Is he in Inception? That's a good question.
Is he the villain in Inception? I'll have to look it up. Let me look.
Dang. No, Ken Watanabe, the Japanese actor, I thought was like kind of like the final boss, because remember they have an operation with like a crime boss, and then the crime boss gets stuck in his own dreams and he's like in a coma, and so he wants revenge for being stuck in the coma or something. I just
feel like there's another movie during the Casino Royale phase of like he was like cast in a bunch, like as a villain in a bunch.
Oh, well, he's also the sorcerer gone bad in Doctor Strange, Caecilius, who steals some ancient spells he's not supposed to have. So he's in big franchises, but he's also in like independent stuff, like the Another Round, which is in Danish is just called Druk, which is like one of my favorite movies of all time. Check that out. He's also in King Arthur. In King Arthur early 2000s somewhere. Clive Owen is King Arthur, but Mads Mikkelsen plays the knight that's like the falconer. He's like trained with the falcons, and so he has a couple birds. Unfortunately, we have to see how bad the baddie is in that movie, and so Mads Mikkelsen like can't defeat the main baddie, obviously. So he's kind of, spoiler alert, he gets killed in King Arthur. But, spoiler alert, he gets killed in most of his movies.
Yeah,
he's a rude dude with an attitude in most of his movies, but he's a great freak. Oh, he's in freaking Star Wars movie as well. He plays the guy that helped design the Death Star in the prequel movie Rogue One. Another ill-fated hero. Anyway, dang, it could be so easy to jump into favorite bits, but I know Jordan may. You got some savage stats on this?
Got a little savage stats. Yeah. You were talking a lot about Odin. When I was a nickname for Odin.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the Norse legends, giving his eye as a sacrifice for wisdom. It also gave Odin the power to see hidden things, which kind of goes I don't know, I guess alongside the movie
And
his friends,
and
right?
this dude has visions in the movie.
He has visions. Yeah, he's getting these like massive flash forwards, I would say, right? I don't know. It's hard to tell.
He's getting. So here's the thing. Like, so this guy spends his days like so close to death every day. It's almost like he has 1 foot in death already. So is he seeing future flashes, or if he's like, if you think of death as like a physical element or something, or a field of energy,
like it could be tangible.
It's like a magnetic force, and he's already connected to it. So so for him, I mean, it's like, yeah.
He's piercing that veil,
Yes, that's it. He's cutting right through to like the other dimension. He's already halfway into that world. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So he doesn't speak at all, obviously, during this movie because they,
his character's
assume that he's a mute. Yeah. And
which is probably battle damage. I mean, because clearly one fight took his eye.
Right.
Maybe they might have intentionally made him a mute. Honestly, it might have been punishment. Who knows?
And just for the entire film, there's about approximately 120 lines of dialogue for the entire film. So super wild. Go into the eye.
It's like an atmosphere movie, but it's not gonna. You're not gonna be bored. Within 5 minutes, he's strangling a guy with the chain.
Definitely not bored.
I was like, they let him out of his cage, but they won't let him off the chain, and then he has to fight 2 guys who are really fighting dirty, and but his whole goal is like just survival. And then vengeance, like again, I said a few minutes ago, it's going to be so easy to slip into favorite bits, you know what I mean, or brutal bits as they are in this movie. But
well, and I thought you would like this. I'm sure you're kind of already on top of it. There's a couple of films that are essentially referenced and or influenced. So I would prefer to say influence for the film. El Topo was an influence on this film. And we just obviously watched.
So that's where the shocking realism probably comes from, right?
I would say so. I don't know. I've never seen El Topo, so I was hoping maybe you could elaborate.
But you saw Santa Sangre, so that's the same filmmaker, George Darsky. So basically, like, there are flights of fantasy in those movies and dreamlike states, but the dreamlike states are all heightened from an emotional response from like the characters in whatever's happening to them. So you could say like, oh yeah, you're hallucinating because they ate a plant, or you're tripping out because of the way they feel, or like the only way I could relate it is maybe the tone of this movie, being like dark and broody or whatever.
The second movie that is influenced, or at least influenced this movie, is based off of the prosthetic eye, because you had talked about the prosthetic eye, or his eye is obviously, like gouged out. But apparently the one that Kirk Douglas wore in the Vikings of 1958 is what had influenced the prosthetic for Mads Mikkelsen's eyeball for this movie. So thought that was interesting. But yeah.
I had read too, the director had like a dream about the whole one eye thing. So he's like, hey, let's do this one eye thing. Let's do this thing. And then maybe that ties into like, the dream about like getting an arrowhead or looking for an arrowhead. And then like, spoiler alert, he finds a tool he needs to escape captivity at, taking a bath in a hot spring or whatever. Like he has to win everything. He has to win food. He has to win baths. You know what I mean? Like, everything is like won by the fact that he keeps winning the fights and winning coins for. So I feel like he was probably in another village or another tribe and they got defeated or something, and he's like the survivor, and so they just put him in captivity instead of killing him.
Right.
And then they're little fighter clubs that they
have. Especially like if you can make money off of it. Kind of goes into, like gladiator shit right there, is like, fighting them against each other for money. So
we'll go into our favorite bits. I just should I say it now? The movie's sad. I mean, should I tell them like, hey guys, like
this is not an upbeat one.
if you're captivated or you start to care about One Eye and the boy, geez,
It doesn't end so well for them.
I mean, the movie ends before we see the boy's fate, but one could assume he starves to death, he falls off a cliff.
Gets
he's
hunted.
indoctrinated into another tribe, or
Yeah.
he's left to the wilderness of his own devices, or he shows up in Pathfinder, which is a movie we already watched. It's all tied together.
Right.
What?
Yeah, it's
Just
so
kidding.
funny.
He's the Viking kid they abandoned in Pathfinder.
Yeah. So
They
good.
encounter some Skraelings. Hello, I didn't even know. We did not know this when we were watching Pathfinder, but Skraeling apparently means dry skins, referring to the animal pelts worn by everybody that they found in Vineland or New Greenland, which is what they were calling America when they stumbled across it, these Vikings. That was a major shock, too, that this movie, that they encounter Native Americans or indigenous peoples here in the Americas. Did not know that was going to happen the first time I watched the movie. Didn't know it was tying in like Eric the Red's journey into America. Nothing like that. You know? Big
Right.
shocker. Big shock. I think, have I spoiled it enough?
I think you've spoiled. My favorite bit, you kind of already touched on it, was when he finds the arrow. Because you do kind of like Mads.
You start rooting for him and you go, this
eye.
is horrible. He's going to continue to lose body parts. And like, how is he going to get away from these people that don't care about him at all? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and it does not waste any time getting right to it, right? Like you immediately
he's waiting for an opportunity. He's waiting for one chance. He's looking to the sky going, come on, man. Just one little moment, you know?
Yep. And you see him find the arrowhead while he's being rewarded for his cold bath, shower, whatever, obviously in the water. And yeah, I mean, I love it when he kind of gets revenge on like his captors, but this is a gruesome, the gore in this movie is right there, it's in it. You're in it.
So, okay. Yeah, so my favorite bits also, I like when he turns it on the chieftain and he's going to get his freedom. It's kind of a bummer that he takes up with the Crusaders, because then you kind of know it's a mix. I think there's like 6 of them, maybe. You like a couple of them, but you don't trust a few of them.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is going to be worse than what happened before somehow. Don't know how. Don't know where it's going to go. Then their boat gets lost. They start to go a little nuts. Then they blame him for encountering hostiles when they get to where they're going. There is like a shocking scene in the woods where 2 of the Vikings are like, hello. You know what I mean? He like stumbles across another Viking doing awful things, and like nobody, it's like he can't even actually he can't give testimony on it, because obviously we've established for the whole movie that he's a mute character. He's like, guys, I did not just do all those awful things in the trees. It was your bud, Lars. You know what I mean? Or like whatever. Yeah, and the boy, and it, I'm glad they didn't give us a definitive answer on whether or not the boy gets killed, because I've said this on a couple of podcasts. Like I can't do movies with like they hurt the kids, they hurt the dogs. Like it can be implied, but obviously the ones that take it too far on screen are like, come on, man. Like we could arrive there using our imagination.
Right.
I guess I'm gonna throw out another spoiler. I was gonna stop myself, but One Eye dies horribly.
Yes, very horribly.
It's poetic. It's a poetic death, but he doesn't even try. He doesn't. I mean, I guess how would he communicate? And warrior to warrior, I guess the only thing that they understand is the combat itself. So I guess like he was always headed towards a death like this. It was written in the stars, man. Like,
right.
This conclusion was like foredrawn. Man, dang it. If you deal in death, you get killed. It's like a universal law or something. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, man. Like, those were our favorite bits, or as I said, brutal bits. There's this cult B movie called Galaxy Quest, and they say never give up, never surrender. So if you like our show, rate it, subscribe to it, tell your friends about it. And just keep that in mind. Galaxy Quest says, never give up, never surrender. Usually we drop staff picks, but we're doing something kind of special. So if you're listening to the audio of this, stay tuned after this episode for a bonus episode about Viking movies, which I've mentioned already. You can tune in for our movie reaction to Pathfinder.